Good morning, sports fans. You're listening to the Smooth Traffic Podcast. This is episode 42. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the new Formula One season. I have now branched out into a new topic that I feel I can review and make interesting and help enlighten you listeners on what it is. You know, more on that later. Also, we've got my adventures in the Caterham 620S, and Rob King has got his return segment, apparently a smash hit with the Twitter fans. Dictionary Corner. What's going on? So, right now, I am lying in bed with a nice whiskey that I made myself, taking it easy, because I've just come back from the mountains of South Wales, which were incredibly cold, incredibly windy, and I went there in a car that doesn't have a proper roof and isn't really suited at all to anything that happens anywhere near a mountainous region. That means, yes, I've been back in a Caterham again, and it was eventful. First of all, I got lost again in a Caterham,
obviously,
because you can't drive a Caterham and find where you need to go. You have to know where you're going, otherwise you just get lost. For some reason, that's what happens in Caterhams. Who knows why? Also, the A303 has terrible signposting. That's just a side issue. Anyway, so me and Damien Cross from Influx magazine, we picked up a couple of Caterhams. He picked up a 420R, which is what me and Kingy used on our epic and eventful trip from Land's End to John O'Groats.
Yay! Where you also had lovely weather.
Where we also had lovely weather. Fucking Cornwall. And I picked up the only Caterham I haven't driven yet, which is the 620, which is the maddest Caterham, and as it turns out, the worst possible car you can drive on a mountain road in South Wales that still has the snow left over from the massive snowstorm that we had a few weeks ago, or whenever it was. I can't even remember when it was. It nearly killed me 3 times in 2 days, so that's probably the first thing we should start with. It was equipped with Avon ZZS or ZZR tyres, and they are basically semi-slick, basic sort of V-groove tyres, large slick patches. And for most of the beauty shot stuff, we parked in a lay-by, which is on top of the mountain. Incredible views, beautiful place, but the car park was kind of a bit wet and muddy and gravelly. So the semi-slick tyres had a bit of mud and dirt on them. They also only work when they're warmed up a bit. It was freezing cold, and we were driving out, coming back, driving out, coming back. And the roads we were driving on were cold, wet, icy, and with snow on. So, what I had to do was drive a car with cold, greasy, muddy, semi-slick tyres on an icy, snowy, drizzly, horrible, wet mountain road with 315 horsepower and 500 kilos around me with absolutely no safety equipment apart from a harness whatsoever. It was really dangerous. But really, really good fun as well, because as the car was going down the mountain and the steering wheel was all over the place, and the car was basically just moving around, thinking, oh, shall I throw Johnny off the mountain now? Maybe not yet. Maybe I'll do it in a minute when I feel like it. Shall I kill him yet? Oh, I don't know. I will kill Johnny at some point today. I just feel like it today. You feel really excited when you're doing that, though. It's a really exciting experience. But I spun it at a hairpin. I nearly spun it coming out of a lay-by. Nearly went off the side of the mountain.
Out of a lay-by.
Out of a lay-by. And I spun it on a straight bit of road, much like how King nearly did.
Coming off a roundabout.
Just coming off a roundabout, and then you start to put your foot down. And I saw Damo, because Damo was ahead of me. His car, the back end just stepped out a little bit, and I thought, oh, that was cool. That looked really cool. But I didn't think maybe I should not accelerate as hard as he did coming out of this corner. I just carried on in my own little world, but I had 100 more horsepower. So when my back end stepped out, also Damo does racing, so he knows what he's doing, and I don't. So when my back end stepped out, I went, whoa, in slow motion, jumped into the other lane, skidded a bit, and then sort of managed to steer it back into the other lane and carried on again. And I thought, wow, that must have looked cool, because it was like a big slide, and I held it, and it just got back on with it, you know. And Damo didn't see it, and it was also the middle of the night in Wales, so nobody saw my epic save at all.
So it didn't happen? Didn't happen yet.
So it might as well not have happened. But how many people saw me spin it on a hairpin? The whole film crew, Damo, not pedestrians, people around.
Pedestrians that leapt over the over the wall into the ravine.
So yeah, that was not fun. We spent probably 5 hours on the mountain it was about -2 plus the wind. I was freezing my arse off, and obviously in the Caterham, when you're then going 40 to 70 miles an hour, and you've got no doors on because it looks better for filming, and no roof on because it looks better for filming, and you just get really cold then as well. So I did my back in, basically.
Can't you get heated seats with that one?
You can get heated seats, yes, yeah.
They weren't in the one you had?
No, mine didn't have it, sadly.
Oh.
So I had to do without, and it was fine. It was an SV, so it had much more room than a normal one, and I could actually move my feet in the pedal box a bit. But yeah, I did my back in basically because it was cold, and it's quite a firm car. It wears on you after a while. So I had to abandon it in McDonald's car park in Wales. And as I got out of the car in Wales, I didn't have the strength to put the roof on properly. So the roof sort of caved in after the water had landed on it after some time, and it kind of got wet inside. Wet enough to see my glasses floating on the passenger seat.
Oh dear.
So, sorry Caterham, the car's a bit wet, but the film's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. I managed to finish the film. It's going to look really cool. We had Dave Vitti shooting it for us, who's a really talented guy. And
Comedy Dave.
Yeah, Comedy Dave. He and his guys shot the film for us. He's a lovely bloke. We get on really, really well, and looking forward to seeing the film coming out now. But
where's the film coming out?
Good question. Don't know.
Or where? Anything?
No, don't know.
Excellent.
Movies. In the movies. Like all good films.
In the theatre.
It'll be in the movies, Ben. No, I think it'll be out on Influx. I think in a month or two,
okay.
Probably. Influx.co.uk for anyone listening who doesn't know Influx.
So this 620, can you get sort of different tyres? Would that make it much more user friendly, or is it kind of just too powerful and too light to really matter? In those conditions, the accelerator has two modes. It either has stall or spin, and there's sort of nothing in the middle. So you just have to kind of prepare yourself for the backlash from the rear end, because it was just lethal. Just absolutely lethal in those conditions. It was really dangerous. Obviously, being a Caterham press car, there were some elements of it that didn't work as well, like the handbrake. That's slightly problematic when you're on a mountain. Is that where you span it on that hairpin because you were trying to handbrake turn?
No, I mean like just trying to start on a hill, stuff like that, or just park on a hill or a slope, anything like that. No, I spun it on the hairpin when we went round the hairpin, and I had grip, and everything was fine, and suddenly it just went away from me, and I slid sort of towards the edge of the mountain again. But it didn't go off the mountain, so I didn't hit anyone or anything, and the film crew all laughed at me, and Damo laughed at me, so I guess it's all right. But these cars are really dangerous. If you just miss something for a split second, it can kill you. But that kind of makes them so appealing as well. But £46,000 that 620 is. £46,000 for a Caterham. That is bonkers. Don't just have a 420. It's £20,000 less, more usable. As me and King know, it's bloody fast anyway, and great to drive.
What's the sort of the base model, like the cheapest, sort of most user friendly version?
They do a little 1 litre 3-cylinder, which has an engine from Suzuki, and I don't think I've driven that one actually. Maybe a long time ago, SMMT, but I mean the benefit to that obviously is that it's lighter engine, so the more lightness the better really. So it's probably quite good. I can't remember, to be honest.
Is that the 160?
Is it the 160? Is it the 160 or is it the one below that?
The 160's I thought the 160 was the entry level, but that's got a tiny Suzuki engine in it. It's like a 3-cylinder.
Yeah, it'll be that then. Yeah. That one's meant to be good. So more lightness is better in theory. So whereas the 620 was completely the opposite. Full on leather seats, supercharged 2-litre engine. It was lethal, chaps. It was really lethal, and you know what? I don't think I'd buy one. It would only work. It would be brilliant on a track, but it's too dangerous for me. Too dangerous, because as soon as you encounter some bad weather, it's got the potential to rip your head off, and you need to be a really good driver to avoid doing a dead.
Yeah, so it's really only a proper enthusiast's car then?
Yeah, definitely. Most people would be... I still think the 310 is the best one, because that's a really nice balance. That's got a 1.6 litre engine in it, so it's a bit lighter than the 2 litre, and it just feels really nicely balanced. It's not overly quick, but still quick. That one's my favourite one.
And that's like 20,000, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
22,
27?
Something like that.
Yeah, 20-something. Anyone listening can just go and Google it, can't they? We don't need to tell them the facts. So yeah, it was eventful. And sadly, I've had to abandon my Abarth in London as well, so I'm carless again.
So basically, you'll never get a Caterham again because you abandoned it in the McDonald's car park.
Yep.
And you'll never get your car back again because it's now owned by Caterham.
Potentially, yes.
As
yes.
recompense for you filling their car with water.
I thought it would just make a nice bath. It's a nice sculptured bath, like you get in these posh houses and posh hotels.
And to be fair, with your back, a bath might have been useful.
Yeah, it probably would have as well. If only I had my bath right now. No? Come on, that was decent.
Bang average.
That was decent.
Everyone had the Abarth joke and they decided not to.
Yeah.
Didn't lower the tone.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Bang average, John.
Good news, guys. The Smooth Traffic fax machine has been turned on again.
Why has it been turned on again, Ben?
Yeah, you don't
John
have to turn
said
the
that you
fax
don't have to
machine
turn them on because they can't be turned off.
They literally can't be turned off, Ben. They're just immortal. And now it's time for... What the Fax? Fax machines are the cockroaches of technology.
So, on the fax machine today,
Now
guys...
it's got a whole map.
It's a big
If
fax.
you put wallpaper into the fax machine again...
Oh, I didn't have any paper left. It prints on anything, it's fine. So, question from the listeners. I think this was mainly aimed at Jonny, actually. If it's a Jonny question.
Oh, God.
So, Jonny, you're stuck on a desert island with a mermaid. Would you rather the mermaid be top half or bottom half fish?
The best bit about that is that even when you started saying with a mermaid, John still had no idea what the question was going to be.
I thought, what would you name her or something like that?
So basically, Jonny, do you want a massive fish head with legs or the traditional method of lady top half, fish bottom half?
I'd like to know where the cut-off point is, Ben.
Belly button.
It's just below the belly button.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everyone knows that, John.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Haven't you ever seen films?
No.
Oh.
Never seen a film. Never. So I've got to decide whether I want a fish with legs or a traditional mermaid. Is that right?
Is this
That's
for
true.
all of us or just John?
Yeah, so it's for all of us, really.
Oh, traditional. I'm a traditional man. And it'd be difficult to tell whether the fish was bored or not from all the talking I'd be doing. So at least if it was the top half of a woman,
You'd know for certain that they definitely are bored.
yeah. I'd know that they want to end every conversation that we have.
King, I've seen you talking to women and they look much like
you?
fish do. Yeah.
When?
They just sort of open mouth like,
Much like a fish.
put me in the water.
So you're saying that when women talk to me, they wish they were being drowned?
Yeah. But anyway, Ben, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's the top half of the traditional mermaid like?
Much like you see in the films. Sexy lady.
Quite nice.
Yeah. Her bra is made from seashells and things.
Is that a must?
It's not a must.
Okay.
You're stuck on a desert island. I mean, ask her.
I'm sure you could replace them with coconuts if there are coconuts.
Coconuts
on the
are...
desert.
No,
yeah, exactly.
that would be chafing on her skin, wouldn't it? Because they're a bit rough, aren't they, coconuts? I was thinking more like maybe a ship ran aground nearby that happened to be one of the container vessels for one of the world's leading lingerie brands. Because in which case that would be smashing.
For which way round?
I was going to say, yeah. Knowing your luck, John, it'd be a container full of just old Parker jackets or something. So you just have to wear a big jacket all the time. You'd be baking hot.
Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? I think I'm going to go traditional as well because I don't know what I'd do if the face was a fish.
It'd just be really disturbing, wouldn't it?
It would be off-putting.
Yeah.
You know, and what are the gills for? What if you put your hand inside the gill by mistake and start feeling all them like weird rubbery bits?
Put your hands inside the gills.
Well, you might in the heat of the moment, might you, King?
So you think you'd be in a position where you might be in the heat of a moment
No.
with a giant fish head?
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. This concerns me. So if it was the other way round and it was a lady top and a fish bottom,
Yeah.
are you telling me that you try to insert your hand into her nose? Why are you shoving your hands in the gills?
Well, it's because the gills are in a very easy to get place, King.
Yeah, but that's how they breathe. Don't shove a fist up a woman's nose, do you?
Yeah, but not when they're out of water, King. They're not breathing. They're not breathing anyway, are they?
To be fair, yeah, she'll probably be dead by then.
Good.
Human top.
Yeah, let's stick with traditional because the alternative just poses too many questions, and I'm not sure we can answer those questions on this podcast.
Yeah, I just think fish on top. You know, she hasn't got arms, so you know you wouldn't be able to play catch. But
how on earth are you
mermaid?
Catch this!
He didn't say what he was throwing at her.
She's not going to be able to walk around with just fish bottom half, so it's just not practical either way, to be honest.
Well, obviously, Ben, that's the point of the question.
Yeah,
surely.
but why do you want a woman to walk around, Ben? This could have a plus side, Ben, because she's always going to be in the place where you left her. Because you know what they're like. Sometimes they just wander off, don't they? Also, if she's got,
I'm not going to say much because I don't want to incriminate myself.
He knows I'm right. He's married. But anyway, if she's above water, she can't have a fish top because she's just going to suffocate. But if
she could have like a anti-snorkel, so you know, like a fish tank on her head.
You're going to have a fish tank on her fish head. Christ almighty.
Like a scuba helmet, but sort of full of water. Yeah, be fine. Anyway, thanks for sending in the facts.
Now, recently, I've been thinking about how I can branch out into other topics and new realms to make more money and grow my successful empire. And I've done a great idea because I've decided to branch out into the world of art critiquing. Because as it turns out, I was having a long think about my life the other day, and it turns out I actually know loads about art. I could be an art genius. That's the level we're talking about here, people. I have been to so many art museums. It is crazy. From my early days at the Burton Art Gallery in Bideford, all the way,
You always just go there for the nice coffee, don't you? I remember.
All the way to the galleries of the Louvre in France, the world's best glass pyramid that happens to have an art collection. So, in this new segment that we are yet to call a name, I am now going to help you people, the listeners of Smooth Traffic, understand art the way I understand it, so you can get a higher appreciation of the art. So, Ben is helpfully selecting pieces of art that I can explain to you what makes them what they are. They might be good, they might be bad, they might just be average, but I am going to art you up. We are going to get arty together, down and arty. Ben, art me.
So the piece of art I've picked you this week, Johnny, is by Francisco Goya.
Ooh.
And this piece, which I've just sent you now, so you can have a look at, is called Saturn Devouring His Sun. What do you make of that, Johnny?
That's amazing.
Well, I've only seen one thing that looks like that before.
Is it me eating a donut?
No, King, it was you during your disgrace period.
Do you want to explain what you're looking at, Johnny, for the listeners?
Well, I will when it loads.
Christ's sake.
So how can you say that? How can you compare it to something if you haven't even looked at it?
I saw the preview picture.
I didn't fax it to you.
So Goya being the famous Spanish artist. Yeah, okay.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced, John.
No, he's
just
definitely
on the
from
Wikipedia
Spain.
page, isn't he now?
Ah, okay.
No, I actually knew he was from Spain, but you don't have to believe me. And I believe it's somewhere in Spain, this painting, because it looks very Spanish in style. If you look at it, it looks languid. It looks laid back. The brushstrokes, lads, they're so laid back. They're a bit blotchy, you know. And what has he got in his mouth? Because that, I don't know. Is that, yeah, but what part? Is that an arm or is that a head? Maybe it's up to the viewer to decide what body part that is. Because it might not be an arm, Ben. Because you're not Goya and you don't know. That's why I'm the art expert and you're a dweeb.
Would you like to tell us the story of Saturn, John?
The story of Saturn?
As in, you know, what inspired Goya to do this? Because obviously Saturn devouring his son is a very famous myth. So, you know, would you like to elaborate more on that, perhaps?
Well, King, as you know, I don't give a toss about myths because they're not true. What I like to deal in is facts. And the fact is, this is a very dark painting. There's a lot of black in it. There's a lot of skin tones in it that make me feel particularly uncomfortable. And I think it's meant to make you feel uncomfortable because you're looking at that. You're looking at Rob King there trying to eat a sausage on his disgrace period and you're thinking, oh my god. Oh my god. He's going off the rails. And that is what it looks like. It looks like the artist is going off the rails. Just like Rob King did when he had his disgrace period. And that's what put his blood pressure up.
Good. Well, what do you think of it, Ben?
I want to know what he was smoking when he started to paint that. It's horrific. Yeah, I don't really understand what that's trying to convey.
That's because you're a dweeb. Luckily, I'm here and I've managed to help the listeners understand this painting because I am an art expert. There's no other way to say it.
Ben said he doesn't understand what it's trying to convey. So what's the painting trying to convey?
Were you not listening to me, King? When I just explained all of this a minute ago. Do I have to explain it all again, King? Are you like a child, not listening in the class? Do you have an easel, King? I have an easel.
Not how the painting is making you feel and what it makes you think of. What was the artist trying to portray? That's what Ben asked. It was a simple question.
It's called Discomfort, King. That's about it, really. It's horrendous. It's really horrendous. Look at his eyes.
So, it's that time of year again. The brand new Formula One World Championship is just days away. And unlike the last 2 years, we're not going to do a whole episode preview. Because, well, Ben gets a bit upset because he doesn't have any involvement with it. So
and F1's not interesting enough.
Yeah, that too. So so we're just wedging this into a single segment in this most popular episode, number 42. And, well, let's get stuck in, Johnny. How are you feeling about a new Formula One season? Obviously not great, since you've just said it's not interesting enough.
Underwhelmed. I'm so bored of Formula One. It's just dull, isn't it? It's the same old rubbish year after year. Nothing's really changed. Oh, there's a halo on the car now. Oh yeah, that's great. You know, but the same problems are still going to be there. Mercedes have invented an engine that is apparently the world's most efficient engine, and the other teams can't compete with that. So until the regulations change to a new engine formula, I don't think we're going to see anything different to what we have done in the last few years. So, but that's my miserable opinion on the state of Formula One, and also Liberty Media seem to be making it a bit tacky. But I mean, you need to give them some time in the job, obviously, to see what they do with the sport. But I'm getting a distinct tacky flavour. It's itching on me, King, already. I can just feel Liberty Media's tacky, cheesy Americanness just getting down there and making me feel uncomfortable, you know. Okay.
Well, obviously we did see that last year at the US Grand Prix, didn't we? When, the old boxing master of ceremonies, Michael Buffer, introduced all the drivers in that rather embarrassing manner.
Yeah, I did a shit when that happened.
Lovely. Well, in a slightly less over-the-top American manner, but very much an issue that I didn't know existed and therefore didn't know needs correcting. This year, Grand Prix weekends are changing. Did you know this, John?
They're changing?
They're changing.
What are they changing to?
So, all of the European races will start 1 hour later in a bid to increase audience size for television. Now, I didn't know that was an issue. You know, I've grown up. I've always watched the F1 at 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But no, 2 p.m. now. 2 p.m. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Because not only is it 2 p.m, races will actually all start 10 minutes past the hour now.
Why?
Well, apparently the idea is that broadcasters can provide pre-race coverage. So their programmes probably start on the hour. So it's been moved 10 minutes so that then they can do a bit of preamble. Now, obviously over here, well, Sky Sports have an F1 channel, so that's a completely irrelevant point anyway.
Yeah.
Channel 4, obviously, race coverage normally starts an hour, maybe an hour and a half before the race anyway. So, on the plus side, it might mean that if you're watching it on Channel 4, they'll knock it right back so you only get 10 minutes of Steve Jones.
Oh, God, that would be great.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, until now, I never realised that I needed my F1 races to start at 2 on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
It does make things much simpler, though, if I go home to visit my family. Because Sunday lunches tend to be quite a strict regime. Somewhere between 1 and 1:30, sit down to lunch. And that's quite awkward when the F1's on. So what this does mean is, if I'm at home visiting the family one weekend when there's a race on, I can still then enjoy the race in full, because it won't start until 2:10.
Yeah, that is a good thinking. I mean, that's a good thing for you. So I'm happy.
As I
for
say,
you.
it solves a problem that I didn't know existed.
Yeah, I wonder if other people have a similar problem there. I can't remember the last time I had a Sunday lunch.
Well, the thing is, with this, obviously, in terms of what's changing for this season, Halo has been the big thing.
Yeah.
And that's been plastered over everything. And it wasn't until we got to sort of testing in the last couple of weeks that the Halo chatter sort of died down. But that's kind of covered over everything else. So I only read by chance that they were pushing back the race times.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known until I'd gone to watch, well, probably not the Australian Grand Prix, but you come to watch the first European race of the season, which will be, well, actually, I don't know if Azerbaijan counts, because is that still...
Well, you know my thoughts on that, King. That is
We'll say Spain.
Asian race.
Race 5, Spanish Grand Prix.
Yep.
There we go. I sit down at about 10-1 thinking, we'll get the F1 on. Then I've got another hour to wait. Another hour of Steve Jones.
I mean, no one should have to sit through an hour of Steve Jones, not even his mum. Steve Jones is the worst thing to happen to Formula 1 since Marcus Ericsson and the hybrid era.
Oh, that's cutting. So, talking about Halo, once testing began, on the whole, you don't really notice the Halo device?
No, you don't really, do you? And it's not a huge deal. I personally don't like it. And I think it's a bit of a crap solution to a problem.
But it is a solution to a problem that is there. unlike the changing of the start times.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it would have saved lives in the accidents that we've had, and it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to those. But the drivers that died for other. I mean, they were going to die anyway, probably. Looking at the accidents they had. And they were probably caused by other things other than not having cockpit protection like that. So I don't know if it's necessarily necessary, And
I mean, I must admit, I haven't done a lot of research and reading around regarding the Halo, so I don't know what Jackie Stewart's views are on it. But I'd be interested to know, because obviously he is very much a pioneer of safety in F1, along with a few other people around that time. But yeah, I'll go away and try and find out what Jackie Stewart's feelings are.
That would be good, actually. Then we can relay that in episode 43, because the FIA are all about road safety, aren't they? That's the only thing they've got that can make public opinion positive for them, because the average person who doesn't like motorsport will just think, why have they got an organisation for that? Those types of people, King. Those people who have got no feelings towards motorsport and have no care for the passions of other people because their lives are miserable, and they drive Citroen Zara Picassos from 2004 in a pale blue colour around with one of the plastic hubcaps missing and a GB sticker on the back for the one time they went to Calais to buy some wine. those sorts of people, they only care about hearing things like, oh, the FIA's done something for road safety. That means my 24-year-old is not going to get run over anymore. I think the kind of halo is kind of just like, oh, look, road safety, but in our sport now. Look at that. We're so safe. It's motor racing. It's never safe. People are always going to die motor racing because it's a dangerous sport. It's like bullfighting. You can't make bullfighting safe. It's like astronauting.
That's not a sport.
You can't make astronauting safe. It's like cliff diving.
Okay, we get the idea.
You see where
John.
I'm going? Yeah,
we get the idea.
Yeah. It's like bear baiting.
Yeah, no, okay, John, we get the idea.
Okay.
Just briefly on the Halo. Obviously, if you take a look at any websites that have got all of the brand new F1 liveries, you'll see that some of the teams have got very, very nice colour schemes this year. And they've all managed to match the Halo device to their general colour scheme, with the exception of McLaren. Now, most of the teams have made the Halo device the same colour as one of the main colours on their livery.
Yeah.
McLaren, who have gone with, have gone back to their roots of Bruce McLaren's racing days, and they've gone for a very striking orange and blue mix. But their Halo device is black, so it doesn't fit in with the colour scheme of the whole car.
That is a bit strange. It kind of works because the tyres are black, I suppose. But yeah, that is a bit weird. I would have gone completely opposite, and I would have made it fluorescent yellow if I had a dark car. I would have made it like completely the opposite colour.
Okay.
And I think just because so everyone goes like, look, it's here. Maybe, just maybe, by having it stand out, we can make our car look more different and more cool. That's what my thinking is. Like,
okay.
If I had a black car or a white car, it'd be like fluorescent orange or fluorescent yellow, just to make it look a little bit different when it's driving around the circuit, especially from front on. And just maybe some sponsors go, oh yeah, I want to get my name all over that fluorescent yellow cage for the driver, That would be my thinking. But then again,
I mean, McLaren just needs sponsors at the moment, so
yeah, that's true.
Sponsoring the Halo would be the.
I've
the
always
least
said
of
it.
their,
Bring back tobacco advertising. It doesn't do anyone any harm.
That's a discussion for another time, I think.
Or let drug dealers advertise on cars.
So moving on from drug dealers advertising on the cars, let's talk about the teams. As I say, there are some rather nice liveries this year, including McLaren's. There's a lot of excitement about what McLaren can do this year. And what they proved in pre-season testing was that they've still got problems.
They're bang average.
But Fernando Alonso was the second fastest driver.
He's just... very few men make me feel the way that Fernando makes me feel, King. And I'll leave it at that.
Anyway... So the other surprise package from testing was Haas, who put in some fantastic laps, and word in the pits is they've got a genuinely fast car this year.
I hope not. I don't like them.
It has shown over the last sort of year or so that you've got some kind of issue with Haas.
Wouldn't it be interesting that as soon as Liberty Media turns up, the American team gets really good?
Now, Johnny.
Just going to leave that there and let people make of that what they will. Liberty Media have just turned up for their first full season. Suddenly Haas have got a very competitive car.
Well, rumour has it that it's because they've got this technology sharing deal with Ferrari. And suggestions have been that they're getting more than their money's worth out of it. So I'll just leave that there for you to draw your own conclusions. And let's face it, you don't want to upset Ferrari. Anyway... Haas and McLaren are the two teams that were probably most talked about during pre-season testing. We don't have a massive change in the driver lineups for this year, do we?
No, I think there's only like one or two new drivers, isn't there?
It's only down the back end of the grid. So obviously Williams have parted ways with Felipe Massa from his second retirement, and opted to go with Sergei Sirotkin, who is the 22-year-old Russian driver, and certainly hasn't got the job just because he's bringing a lot of money in. I mean, early indications from testing, Sirotkin was well off the pace, and you think fair enough. He's a young man. He's just come into Formula One. It seems reasonable that he'd be a way off the pace. Williams not necessarily going to be up the top of the.
They're shite, aren't they? They're going to be right down there, I think.
I mean, despite running the Mercedes power unit. But then you think, Sirotkin's 22, Max Verstappen is now only 20.
And he's got 3 years in the sport.
Maybe he's not the best person to compare to, because, he's quite clearly a fantastic talent. But I don't think age is an argument anymore. Particularly since the other new driver, Charles Leclerc, who has signed for Sauber. I mean, Sauber were woeful last year.
Yeah, they will be again as well. They've got Marcus Ericsson,
They have got Marcus Ericsson, yes. But Leclerc was faster than Sirotkin, and theoretically, that should be a slower car. Although, at least Sauber do now have the current gen Ferrari power units, and also the Alfa Romeo badge on the back. Because nothing makes me happier than to see Alfa Romeo competing in motorsport and knocking around at the back of the grid.
And the Alfa Romeo badge is worth a few horsepower on its own.
True.
I think it's worth about 5 to 7 brake horsepower if you've got an Alfa Romeo badge on your car.
That's correct, John. And the Cloverleaf badge that's also on the car, that adds another 3 horsepower just by itself.
Yep. Status changes, like when you're playing a video game and like you have to wear like a special amulet to give you plus 100 vitality or something like that. That is what the Alfa Romeo badge is in the world of motorsport. And motoring in general, actually, I should say.
Bang on. I will be genuinely interested to see what Sauber can do this year. They're not. I can't see them challenging the midfield by any stretch, but I think they'll be able to nick a few points here and there. I mean, they set the bar fairly low with 5 points last year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I don't think Sauber are going to score any points this year.
You're going to go with 0.
Yeah, I think the field's probably got stronger. I don't necessarily think Sauber have the. And I think Williams will finish on 0 as well. I think we're going to see Williams and Sauber at the back. I think they don't really have what it takes to be competitive because of money, basically. I think they're both fairly poor teams as teams go. I just don't think they can mix it with the guys who are spending all that money sort of in the midfield now. Although King, Toro Rosso are now running the Honda engine.
And that has looked remarkably reliable during testing.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny? I mean,
dear Fernando.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Fernando because he is the unluckiest driver in Formula One history. A guy who probably should have 4 or 5 world titles to his name. He's that good. But for some reason, things just always conspire against him. He's always in the wrong place. Wouldn't it be shocking if Toro Rosso turned around now and won the World Championship? Because Honda has suddenly invented an engine over the winter that has 2,000 brake horsepower and does 80 miles per gallon.
80 miles per gallon. Wow, fuel efficient. I don't really know where to go with that. I think there would definitely be an inquiry from Red Bull if Toro Rosso suddenly won the world Constructors' Championship.
Yeah.
Although Red Bull do change to the Honda engines from next year, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do. They're leaving it with their reserve team to see how they get on.
To iron out the creases.
Oh, one thing I did think of, King, when we were talking about liveries earlier on, it's always the big reveal, isn't it? Ooh, the big reveal, the liveries. What are they going to look like? Well, Ferrari's was red. Red Bull's was Red Bull coloured.
Yep.
Renault's was yellow. A bit like Renault's kind of always
yellow and black
have been. Yeah, but yellow. I don't think there's any surprises there. Sauber's was white with a little bit of alpha colours on it just for show. Ooh.
I'm a traditionalist. I like my Saubers in a blue.
Oh yeah. I did. Yeah. You know what, King? I'd like him to bring back Ligier.
Oof.
That was always a handsome car. I thought the Ligier in that sort of alluring blue.
Yeah.
It always made you think, ooh, I fancy one of those French cigarettes.
See? There is a problem with cigarette marketing.
Damn. You're right.
But you're right. I mean, obviously, Mercedes came out with a silver car.
Yeah.
Force India have stuck with the pink.
I'm glad about that. Force India is probably one of the only teams that can change colour.
Williams have stuck with the white. Toro Rosso has stuck with the Red Bull. Who's left? Oh, McLaren, who have just gone for a more traditional orange as opposed to that whatever colour it was last year.
Yeah, like black and
It was
orange or something,
like a
wasn't it?
rubbish orange, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think the bolder and brighter the colours, the better, because you want, bright colours get people's attention, don't they? If I go out wearing pink trousers, people are going to go like, whoa, what's going on there? Do I want to put my name on that? Because a lot of people are seeing those trousers, King.
I mean, you run these conversations into a real cul-de-sac sometimes, John. Do you know that? Anyway, 2 drivers that have fallen off of the grid. Daniel Kvyat,
Yep.
who has now suspiciously joined Ferrari as their development driver.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he hasn't got any secrets from Red Bull. Genius. And of course Pascal Wehrlein, who I feel has been slightly hard done by.
Yeah, big time. Because he's really good.
Yeah, and considering, let's face it, Marcus Ericsson is a pay-to-play driver.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc, more than reasonable for him to get a drive this year. Reigning Formula 2 champion. Won the GP3 series the year before.
Yeah.
So I've got no issue with that. But, you compare Ericsson and Wehrlein.
Marcus Ericsson offends me, because Marcus Ericsson is just Sauber's bank manager, basically.
The thing is, as I said earlier, Sauber got 5 points last year.
Yeah.
How many of those points did Pascal Wehrlein win?
I think probably 5.
Correct. You're absolutely bang on.
That's because Marcus Ericsson is a stain on Formula 1, and the biggest waste of space possibly ever in anything. The Gobi Desert is a better use of space than Marcus Ericsson.
I think that Wehrlein has been particularly hard done by, but it's not up to us, is it? So.
Well, hopefully Lewis Hamilton will fall down the stairs and break his ankle, and Pascal Wehrlein will get the Mercedes seat.
He is one of their test drivers, isn't he? So.
Yeah, because while Hamilton's looking at his ankle going, oh, boo-hoo, my bone's sticking out, maybe I should get a tattoo on it. Maybe he'll think, oh, maybe I should just retire and become the future musician / fashion designer / that I am destined to become. Also, listeners, one of those 3 he is already.
So, moving swiftly on from that, although we have no control over the driver lineup, I think that Liberty Media may have been listening to the last Smooth Traffic F1 preview.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. We are highly influential.
We put together the ultimate F1 calendar, if you remember, Johnny.
Yeah, we did.
There was a 3-week boat party. It was only a 16-race calendar. We are going up to 21 races for this year.
Fucking hell.
Which, frankly, is absurd.
Yeah.
But, while sadly Malaysia has been dropped, which did make our 16-race calendar...
See, I like Malaysia.
It's a good circuit.
And there's always something interesting happening with the weather as well.
Exactly.
More than likely there is.
But, despite that, we're going back to the French Grand Prix at the Circuit Paul Ricard.
Named after Ricard Rydell, the Swedish touring car driver.
Close. Very, very close. But actually nowhere near it whatsoever. Yeah, 1990 was the last time that hosted a French Grand Prix. Obviously, we grew up watching it at Manicourt.
Yeah, I'd rather have seen it at Manicourt, because I think Paul Ricard is basically a car park with a few...
It's a very strange circuit.
Yeah.
You've basically got 2 very long straights with a couple of kinks in them. And then you've got technical curvy bits at each end. It's a bit like where they used to run the German Grand Prix way back in the sort of 50s when they had they've got that massive...
Oh yeah, the ASUS ring or something they call it, isn't it?
Outside Berlin, which is just 2 huge straight runs with bank curves at either end.
Yeah.
Obviously it's more technical than that, but there's a similarity there, I feel. So. But speaking of Germany, Germany's also back on the calendar, and we're going back to Hockenheim.
See, I think that's the wrong circuit to go back to. Nürburgring.
I do love the Nürburgring.
Yeah, the Nürburgring Grand Prix course is a really, really good circuit, and Hockenheim, since they took out the forest section, which was the character of the track, blasting through the forests at 190 miles an hour, slowing down some chicanes and blasting through some more forests, and then coming out in the stadium section. That was the whole character of the circuit. And ever since they took the forest section out and replaced it with more forest and just let them drive around this very boring, flat, sterile circuit, Nobody wants to go there anymore. I can't blame him, to be honest, because it's fucking boring. And the stands are miles away from, where people are racing as well. It's like, apart from the last bit, and it's just like, what's the point in Hockenheim? There isn't one, King. I reckon you just burn it down, to be honest. And that way we can have the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Cool.
So, in fact, you're not happy about being back at with a German Grand Prix then? Because it's Hockenheim.
Well, I'm glad there's a German Grand Prix because it's important to have races in certain countries, isn't it? And maybe it'll turn out to be a cracker. Who knows? I just wish that the circuits were as good as they used to be. Bring back gravel traps. Bring back character to circuits. They've replaced character with safety, and I'm not so sure.
Bring back the bus stop.
Yeah, like the bus stops. I mean, like the character, and like they
remove the car park from the Parabolica.
And the circumcision of Eau Rouge. That's happened over the last couple of decades as well.
Interesting choice of word.
Just let it be what it is, King. That's what I say.
Well, on the topic of the calendar, isn't it nice that Fernando Alonso is going to be able to race in Formula 1 and the Le Mans series as well?
That's really cool, isn't it?
And the thing that made me laugh about it is that obviously McLaren have said that the races are on weekends that don't clash. Alonso's not the kind of driver that would be sat in the simulators on those weekends because he's got more than enough experience.
Yeah, he's got better things to do.
So basically, crack on. Now, what made me chuckle about this is that there was one race that he wasn't going to be able to take part in, which I think is the race at Fuji.
Oh, right, yeah. They do a 6-hour race sign over there, don't they?
Yeah, he wasn't going to be able to take part in that. So the organisers of the series have sorted it out so that basically they're moving that race for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who's to say that because Alonso's driving for Toyota, that's the reason that they've agreed to move a race at Fuji?
Well, I think that's brilliant.
Well, it is. I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest drivers in history. Branching out to another form of motorsport, albeit fairly similar. Basically, to give himself a shot at doing the old Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Do I mean Triple Crown? No, I don't mean Triple Crown.
I think you do mean Triple Crown. Yeah, the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, and Le Mans.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
I think so.
I'm now thinking the Triple Crown was an endurance racing thing. I suppose maybe it's been used for multiple things. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Fernando being really busy over the next 18 months.
He's going to be knackered by the end of the season, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. But I think he'll enjoy himself.
What I don't get is why Nico Hülkenberg isn't having a go at the Indy 500, because he's the only driver on 2, I think, at the moment. Only active driver on 2, because he's won Le Mans. Has he won? Oh, maybe he hasn't won the Monaco Grand Prix, actually. No, he hasn't, has he? No, we can delete that entire segment.
No, I'm leaving that in so you look like a fool.
I don't think he's won the Monaco Grand Prix. Has Hülkenberg actually won a race before?
I don't think he's won a race.
I don't think he has. No, I don't think he has. Hulk's the only guy to have won Le Mans in the F1 paddock, so perhaps Hulk should start having a go, because a race between him and Alonso to get the Triple Crown would be great. Well, Hülkenberg's always deserved a good drive, and he's never got it for some reason. I don't understand it. Like, Hülkenberg would be a great number 2 at Ferrari, for example, or he'd be a great driver for Mercedes. But yeah, no one's given it to him for some reason. Maybe he's a bit of a. Who are we to know for sure?
Just on the topic of the endurance racing, I have now found the details, and so it's the 6 hours of Fuji, which has kindly been moved in October of this year, so that Alonso can. And I believe there was a quote by one of the guys organising it, who basically said if he doesn't take part, he wouldn't have a chance of winning the World Endurance Championship. So they're obviously confident that he's got a shot at it.
Definitely, and in the Toyota, because that's one of the fastest cars out there, I would say. Plus, Porsche have pulled out now, haven't they?
Yeah, I believe they have, yes. Would you like to know his compatriots in the car with him? Because obviously endurance racing, team of 3.
Are they compatriots or are they teammates? Was that a clue?
They're all former Formula 1 drivers.
Okay, so Sebastian Buemi.
Yes. And bear in mind here, it's Toyota, who are a Japanese team.
Kazuki Nakajima.
Shit me. Yeah, I thought you were going to go Kobayashi.
See, King.
Who will be driving the other Toyota, as it happens.
Didn't know that. But yeah, well, that's good. That's a good team of drivers. Obviously, Remy likes getting upset in Formula E races, doesn't he? So hopefully he'll get upset at some point in the calendar this year, and we can see him going, "Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Oh no, I don't like it." Because Fernando will be all over that because he does that a bit as well. He doesn't like things sometimes.
So basically, if you want to get on the Fernando Alonso train, everything starts off at Le Mans. I mean, the season doesn't start off at Le Mans; it starts at Spa in May. But if you wanted to follow Fernando Alonso for a solid wedge of time, Le Mans, 16th, 17th of June, French Grand Prix, 24th of June, Austrian Grand Prix, 1st of July, British Grand Prix, 8th of July, German Grand Prix, 22nd of July, Hungarian Grand Prix, 29th of July.
That is a solid block of work, isn't it?
6 hours of Silverstone, 19th of August, Belgian Grand Prix, 26th of August, and then obviously the Endurance Championship leaves Europe. So if you're planning a little European trip to follow Fernando Alonso, why not tweet us and let us know? And if you're fed up with us talking about Fernando Alonso so much, please don't tweet us.
If you're fed up about us talking about Fernando Alonso, you can go fuck yourself, because this podcast is pro Fernando Alonso.
So to round this segment off before John gets arrested, it's prediction time. It's prediction time, Johnny.
Oh, great. We've got a 100% record on predictions.
True. Don't go back and check that, anyone listening. Johnny.
Yeah.
Who is going to be your 2018 Formula One World Champion?
Well, King, that is a tricky question to answer. I mean, the sensible person would say Lewis Hamilton. But I am going to go for one of the Toro Rosso drivers. Because of what I said earlier, 2,000 brake horsepower and 80 miles per gallon. Brendan Hartley is going to be the 2018 Formula One World Champion. The best hairy New Zealand man ever to win the Formula One World Championship. And Fernando Alonso is going to cry.
What?
Break my heart.
Why are you describing Brendan Hartley as hairy New Zealand man?
He's quite hairy, isn't he? He's got a lot of hair.
Oh, no, actually, he's won the Le Mans 24-hour.
Oh, he has. Yeah, he has, actually. So that's, yeah.
Oh, so that makes your point about Hulkenberg even more ridiculous.
It does, doesn't it?
Brilliant. So you're going with Brendan Hartley.
Yeah.
But you say that the logical person would say Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've got a sneaking suspicion about Valtteri Bottas this year.
Oh, King, this prediction's going to come back to haunt you, isn't it?
I don't know why, but I've got a sneaking suspicion of Valtteri Bottas. So I'm going to say Formula One World Champion this year will be Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, King, I would love it if Daniel Ricciardo won the World Championship, because he is awesome. He is such a fucking cool guy. I love Daniel Ricciardo.
World champion.
Oh, he's just the bloke's just a legend, isn't he? I mean, despite the fact he's Australian, I like him. And you know what? I'd love to see him win the World Championship, but Red Bull, really?
Hey, time will tell. So, Constructors Champion, John. Both your logical answer and your prediction. And I've done air quotes there, just for anyone listening.
I saw them.
I thought you might have done.
The logical person would go with Mercedes, and I would strongly encourage you, if you're going to Ladbrokes this afternoon, listen to this podcast,
hang on. Whoa, let's not go down this road, John.
Then you should probably put your money on Mercedes. But if you're like me, and you fancy a bit of a punt, then I would put your money on Toro Rosso, because I have a sneaky suspicion Honda have invented a 2,000 brake horsepower engine that does 80 miles per gallon.
Okay. Interestingly, the Toro Rosso for this season is the first Formula One car to run on Repsol fuel since the Arrows A21. And look how well they did.
The Arrows A21, one of those cars that is just in Formula One folklore for being... yeah. But I would just like to point out that we do have a 100% record on predictions, so if you fancy a punt, Toro Rosso, see what we can get for it, because I'm just saying, might be a chance something special happens here.
I'm going to go with my usual attitude and say Ferrari will win the Constructors' Championship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that more hopeful rather than...
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that a logical answer, or is that a...
Well, you've already covered the logical answer. The logical answer is always going to be Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
So Daniel Ricciardo is going to be my driver's champion. Ferrari will take the Constructors' Championship.
Any more bold predictions, King? Because our bold predictions are, quite frankly, legendary. Things that might happen during the season.
Toro Rosso to drop one of their drivers by the 6th race of the season.
Oh, that is a shout. That is a good shout, King. That is a good shout.
They've got previous, you know.
They have. No, that's true. That's true. My shout is going to be force India to win in Monaco after a 1996 style series of retirements.
Oh my Christ.
Okay. And it's going to be Esteban Ocon, the international hit machine, who does it.
Nice. Well, no, I will make one more, actually. Obviously, you've said you think Sauber and Williams will both end with 0 points.
Is that John Tott?
John Tott. I'm going to make a fairly sensible prediction.
Okay.
In that I think Sauber will score points this season, and I think Charles Leclerc will be the one to do it. Leclerc will score more points than Marcus Ericsson.
Well, yeah.
Do I think he'll score more than Wehrlein and his 5 from last year? I think that relies on a lot of drivers dropping out. Although if your Monaco prediction happens, maybe Leclerc will finish second. Who knows?
If he does, King, that would be special, wouldn't it? King, I would love it if that happened. King, I've got one more bold prediction to make as well.
Okay.
Fernando Alonso to retire before the end of the season. To announce his retirement from Formula 1 at some point during the season. It'll definitely happen this year, because he's sick of it. He's sick of all the shit. He wants his big fucking V10s back.
To then be replaced by Felipe Massa coming back to fill in for the end of the season.
Well, I did think that, but in a curveball, King, and perhaps an administration error, they've gone with Felipe Nasser. He will step into the fold.
Well, there we go. That is quite the administrative error. And you gotta feel sorry for Lando Norris. Test driver, brilliant name.
I don't know if it's a brilliant name, King. The first part is brilliant. The second part is bookworm. You know what I'm saying?
The first part is like, wow, that's a really cool name. And
yeah.
The second part reminds you he's British.
Good point. Yeah, I like what you've done there. Yeah. Lando Norris.
Exactly. See? Whereas the funny thing is, Lance Stroll is kind of the other way round. Like Lando Stroll. That sounds quite cool.
Yeah.
Lance Norris. No. Lance Norris isn't a Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, Lance Stroll just is a weird name, isn't it? Let's hope, despite what anything happens this season, despite anything that might happen, you know, a volcano erupts, Paul Ricard, God forbid, but if that does happen, let's at least hope that Marcus Ericsson is removed from the sport at some point during this season, because he is dreadful. Dreadful. I can't emphasise that enough. I mean, he is better than me, but you know, he's probably better than most people. He's probably the top 1% drivers in the world, but he is dreadful. I think I might dislike him more than I dislike Lewis Hamilton.
So, in a very heavy, random segment episode of Smooth Traffic, guess what time it is, guys?
Oh, God.
Yes, that's right. Kingy's Dictionary Corner!
I love the etymology of words.
You absolute gorm. Ben, do excuse me while I try and finish off this whiskey during this segment. Hopefully by the end of the segment I won't remember it's happened.
Well, that's not the attitude to take at all, John.
Worst segment ever.
Lots of people keep saying how much they love Dictionary Corner on Smooth Traffic. By lots, I mean at least one every episode, which just shows how terrible the rest of every episode is. So, Ben's words are running a bit dry, so we've only got one word this week from Ben, and that is wazzock.
Didn't I say that? I think that was my
Are you
suggestion.
sure that was mine?
I think it's my suggestion, actually, King.
Alright, well, you're both the same. You're a pair of plebs, so I won't worry. So yes, wazzock. Once again, a word meaning a stupid or annoying person. That's probably why I thought Ben said it, John, because he keeps coming up with words that he uses for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually.
But yeah, so again, fairly inoffensive word, and can be as subtle as just meaning someone who's a bit daft. But, interestingly, Urban Dictionary comes in here. Now, the top definition gives it a Northern England origin, and says an idiot or daft person. And the example is, "Ah, you gert wazzock." But then, definition number 2 points out that the verb to waz in Northern English dialect means to urinate.
Oh, right.
In both West Yorkshire and East Lancashire, offal was very popular, and when produced en masse, the offal was cooked in linens resembling large pillows and were referred to as socks. These prevented the offal from burning and being ruined when coming into direct contact with the base or sides of its cooking vessel.
So what?
Bear with me. This is Urban Dictionary, I kid you not. Unsurprisingly, these linens absorbed the odour of the offal, which is similar to urine, and were discarded. They were colloquially known as waz socks. The derogatory sense of a wazzock to this day refers to someone discarded of having any point, purpose, or worth. And the example is, "Don't mind Jeffrey, he's a wazzock."
So somebody who doesn't have a point, purpose, or worth.
Yes.
So that's actually quite a good description.
They've used some hashtags, including hashtag piss sock.
Oh, that's my new favourite hashtag. That's great.
Obviously, the point is that nobody has a use for a piss sock. So, there we go. And the third definition, mild insult, one who is foolish or has made an arse of themselves and is rather daft. Example, person X, so we'll say Johnny, is a pompous wazzock.
Yeah, but I'm not pompous, am I?
No, that's me. So, moving on. Because we've run out of words from Ben or John's dialect or whatever, one of them, who cares, I thought, let's look at some British slang words for our overseas cousins in America who obviously struggle with words like wanker and twat.
Are they not commonly used over in America then?
Well, twat they pronounce twat. And,
Really?
Yeah. And it's not... I don't think it's considered as offensive. And Americans have started using wanker a lot recently.
How do you know this, King? You're not from America.
It's called reading, John. Get a bit of culture.
It's Reading, I think.
Such a
That's what it's
joke
been.
by someone living in Berkshire. You Burke.
He's a Burke. He's a Berkshire
yeah.
Burke.
No need for that.
Berkshire. And he's a...
So, general slang terms from this country, just to help people out should they hear them. First of all, one that I hadn't come across. Now, everyone loves a bit of Cockney rhyming slang. Have either of you ever heard the phrase, "Don't step on that Richard III"?
No.
No.
Apparently that is Cockney rhyming slang for turd.
A Richard III.
Yeah, and if you don't know what a turd is, that's shit. Not you not knowing is shit, I mean, that's what a turd is.
Yeah, if you don't know that, then you're shit. That's what we're saying here. If you don't know that turd means poo, you're shit, listeners. That's what King just said. So that's why you should boycott this segment.
Yeah, who cares? Nobody cares. Go and read a book.
If this segment was a shed, I'd throw a petrol bomb through the window.
Poor King, he's doing so well with this segment, and now you just sound like you're so upset with life.
Well, put your jacket on, because it's time to leave the smooth traffic building. It's cold out there. Thanks for listening. Yeah, thanks for listening once again to this podcast that we make. It is bizarre that people out there listen to this podcast, but thank you for listening. Please do the subscribe, the like, the leaving the review thing. I can't stress how important that is. You know, people on YouTube, they just go, "Oh, can you like and subscribe, guys?" Make it really short and snappy, just like, so people just do it. Like, no, it's really important. If you can do that, I might buy you a Snickers Duo next time I see you at a petrol station. If I can't afford it, I'll get Rob to pay for it. But the offer's there, is what I'm saying. Do a review, Snickers Duo, petrol station, it's possible. Have a lovely, lovely time. Enjoy the start to the Formula 1 season. Let us know what you think by tweeting us at Smooth Traffic. And yeah, we'll see you for episode 43. I guess that's about it. I think I'm going to go and have a spot of lunch now. So yeah, bye bye.